cook for you. So hello.
Hi.
So what we're doing today is we're doing chicken parmesan. Decided to switch it up a little bit. We've been doing a lot of sweet things. We're gonna do some savory today. So here's our chicken. We're using chicken breasts because that's just my personal favorite. And we're gonna make fettuccine noodles, and we're gonna make our own homemade Alfredo sauce. So to start, I'm gonna season all the chicken. I'm gonna start with salt and pepper. I'm also gonna use a little garlic powder and a little bit of onion powder just because they're a tad bit easier. And because I really love it, smoked paprika. So I'm just gonna get seasoning, and then Justin is going to start making the egg wash, and he's gonna tell you all about that.
So I'm going to be putting these 3 eggs into this bowl here and putting 3 tablespoons of cold water, and that's going to make an egg wash. So,
And you have to mix it up too, right?
Yeah.
Good egg cracking. So what do you think of our first snowfall, Justin?
Not looking forward to the shoveling.
Just in case you're wondering, we have about 300 feet of driveway. So, but we have a snow blower, so as long as it's not too terrible for snowfall, it should be fine. So what are you doing now? So you got your eggs cracked, what are you doing now?
Putting 3 tablespoons of cold water.
Okay. Maybe you should take your bowl with you. It might be a little easier. What do you think?
Yeah.
So I'm just putting our onion on. It's just a little easier than trying to mix raw onion up or trying to form a paste, and the same with our garlic. It's just a much simpler method to use the powder. I don't use the salt, onion salt or garlic salt, because I add my own sea salt. We don't really need that. So we're just, again, putting some garlic on this time. Everybody here really loves garlic. And I put a fair amount of pepper on it because Alfredo can be a little bit bland if you don't add much seasoning. And I think, Justin, you need a whisk, don't you? Sorry, I mean, kind of in your way. There you go. And give it a good beating. And I'm gonna add some smoked paprika because I love it. Okay. I generally only season one side of the meat. But just for you guys, I'm gonna add some paprika onto the other side. If I get it off the board. That's really good. Just beat the heck out of it. We don't want any of the stringies from the white. You just want it to look really nice and smooth. So this is a battering method that's my mom actually taught me when you're gonna batter things. And I find it works fairly well for when you're gonna bread things too, because it keeps the breading on the meat.
Okay, so the pan is set at 4.5. So we're gonna be putting this butter in each pan. Just 1 slice of butter, like this.
Okay, we're gonna get our chicken ready to go in the pan now that our butter's heating up. So we're gonna prep our chicken now. Our butter's almost melted. We don't want it to burn. So how to do a breading or a batter is first you season it. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion, paprika, and then you roll it in flour. Just to get it kind of coated, that keeps your spices in. Then you do an egg wash, get lots of egg on there, and then you put it in your breadcrumbs. And we're gonna get these on the pan. So you take your chicken and you just roll it in your flour. And if you're a professional chef, you could probably toss it up in the air. And then you do an egg wash on it. This just helps your breadcrumbs to stick. And I'm gonna do this part myself because your fingers get really gunky, and I'm just using one hand. So if you spice your chicken first, and then you do your bread roll or your flour roll, and then your egg wash. First, your spices will stick to it, and then the egg wash helps your breadcrumbs stick to your chicken, and you get a nice, juicy, crispy piece of chicken.
This chicken breast on the pan so it can do its thing.
Justin, maybe move the chicken around in the pan a bit to kind of get the oil spread out. The butter, sorry.
Just move it like this.
So when you put too much chicken in a pan or beef or whatever, it can start to boil because there's just not enough room for it to fry. So try not to overload your pans too much. Like for this size chicken, about 3 pieces. So I've got another piece coming from Justin. You can slap another piece in there, in one of them, and I got another piece ready for you right away. You don't want your meat to boil because it doesn't really taste all that great. Okay, and then Justin, I got another piece here ready for you to throw in your other pan. And we're just going to do 3 pieces per pan. Okay, go ahead and put that in. Now, if you don't want soggy breadcrumbs, make sure that you don't get them prepared too far in advance, because your breadcrumbs will get all mushy and then you won't have a nice crisp to it. Something else is that a chicken breast is not perfectly even, as you can see, in thickness. So try and put the thicker part of your breast in towards the inside of the pan, because that's where you're going to get the most heat. And you don't want your little ends here to get tough. So same with this one over here. We're just going to turn these with the thicker parts in, and I think I might add just a tad bit of butter. I was the one that told Justin how much butter to add, but I'm thinking I want it a little bit more buttery, so I'm going to add a little bit more butter to each of them. Kind of spread our butter around. Keep it at the same temperature. So it's kind of like deep frying, but without all the heavy oil. Plus, I'm a believer that margarine and stuff isn't all that great for you, so sorry. Didn't get that in time, so I'm just gonna tip my pan, let that chicken cook, and we will come back when we're ready to flip. Hello, so our chicken is cooking there, so I'm gonna start preparing our Alfredo sauce. So we need a 1/4 cup butter, about this much. For each recipe, I'm doing 2 recipes. And we have to get this butter melting, and then we're going to add our cream cheese. Now that they've crisped on one side, I've added some to the other pan and flipped them. And we have 1 flipped here. So I've thrown in another 2, which leaves only 1 to do. And so you can kind of see from the color here on the flip piece, about as dark as you really, really want to go. You don't want to go too dark. And our butter's almost melted here. So we're going to add in our cream cheese. And yes, I have been washing my hands in between. And we have to kind of melt our cream cheese as well. So, but you throw in your butter first to keep your cream cheese from sticking. And when that's all melted, we'll come back and we'll show you the rest of the sauce. So all chicken has to be 165 degrees. So we're going to check it. You always check in the thickest part. If it's not 165 degrees, it's not done. And you don't want to eat it because it will make you sick. And you can get salmonella from chicken. So I've been actually cooking it with the lid on. And it's at 140, so really it's only got about 25 degrees left to go. So you stick it, the end of your thermometer in the center of the meat. You don't have it touching the pan, because your pan is probably hotter than that. You put it so that it's kind of in there to about the middle of the meat. The middle of the thickest part. So again, this one's around 140. This guy he's definitely about 140. So our chicken is almost done. And we're gonna pop it in the oven. Just at a low heat, just to keep it warm for us while we finish making our Alfredo sauce and our pasta. So these guys are nowhere near done. So I'm just gonna put a lid back on the chicken, just to kind of keeps the heat in with the chicken without burning the chicken. And you'll notice I turned down the temperature because it was frying a little too fast. This is my quick heat burner, and it was frying a little too fast in this one. So I've also turned down my heat to just 4 instead of 4.5, because it was cooking a little quickly in this one too, and we wanted to get the meat cooked. Now, don't forget my chicken was also frozen, so this guy's almost done. He's looking nice, looking nice. We'll just check the temperature of this one, and we only have one more left to go into our pan. Hey Justin, did I ever tell you, you know how I talk about grandma all the time, right? Well, when I was a kid, grandma used to tell me all the time, you can be whoever you want, right? Well, it turns out identity theft is a crime. Okay, so this guy's only at 100, so we're gonna cover this pan as well. We don't want to eat raw chicken because we don't want to get sick. And here we have our cream cheese is starting to melt down. I'm able to kind of squish it up because our cream cheese was cold. We left it in the fridge until we needed it. And we're just mixing that with the butter. Get that all nice and melted. I'm going to take a whisk to it, probably in about another 1.5 to 2 minutes, because there's still, like, this piece is still pretty hard. It doesn't really want to cut all that easy. Once it's ready to cut, we're going to throw in our milk, our Parmesan cheese, and our spices. And I'll show you how to do that. But it is starting to get there. We're a little crowded on the stove right now, so it's going to take a little bit longer on this little burner. So we're back. I'm just getting the rest of my ingredients ready for my Alfredo sauce. So I have some of the powdery Parmesan cheese because I realized I didn't actually buy enough of the shredded, fresher stuff, the soft stuff. So it says for each recipe about 1.5 cups. So that would put us at 2.5 cups. But we like Parmesan, so we're going with 3. We also are going to need a cup for each recipe, so 2 cups of heavy cream. This isn't as heavy as what I would normally use, but it's what I had because I forgot to buy heavy cream. So our cameraman is going to join us at the stove, and we'll film mixing everything together. So I'm just stirring up my butter and my cream cheese, trying to get it as nice and smooth as possible. Most of the cream cheese is now melted. Also, you don't want a heavy oily residue on the top of your cheese. So this is just adding a little bit more fat. And next what we're gonna add is we're gonna add our milk and bring it up to temperature. So we're just gonna add a little at a time and give it a stir. This will help bring up your milk to temperature instead of dumping the whole thing. See how nice and smooth that's getting? Looks awesome. We're gonna add some more milk, bring it up to temperature. More stirring. This Alfredo sauce is really good. Oh, that's beautiful. Add a little bit more cream. You may as well add it all now. You wanna, when you're making any kind of a roux, for any kind of gravy or sauce, when you're adding your milk or your cream or your water or your bouillon or whatever, add a little at a time and stir in between, getting it smooth before you add all of it. You'll find that your sauces and stuff will be much smoother. So next we're gonna add in all of our Parmesan. You can tell the difference in between the 2 Parmesans. And I think I might end up adding a little bit more cream to this, because this is super thick. So I think I'm gonna actually add another cup of cream, because this isn't really the consistency that we want. So let me grab that. I'll be right back. It's probably because I added some extra Parmesan in there. So sometimes you have to course correct when you're cooking. This is one of those times. We don't want it too runny, but we don't want it so thick either that it's kind of like a paste rather than a nice creamy sauce. So here we go. And now we're gonna add some spices to this. We're gonna season it, and then we're just gonna let it sit and cook a little bit. And I may end up adding a little bit more milk. You see it's a little thin right now, but as the dried Parmesan absorbs some of the liquid, it will get thicker. So we want to get it the right consistency. It's totally okay to add a little bit more milk. So the spices we need are a little bit of salt. You don't need too much because cream cheese is already a little salty. So is your butter. So I know that this looks like a lot, but really it's not a lot for this much sauce. We're again gonna add some garlic. And we want a fair amount of garlic this time, because we all want to have stinky breath. And I forgot my pepper. Sorry, guys. So we would like to add quite a bit of pepper to our Alfredo sauce. So it's going to be about a half a teaspoon, maybe between a half a teaspoon and a teaspoon for this big of a recipe. Just adds a little punch to your Alfredo. You don't want it too bland. And we're also going to add some parsley in there. Oops, I brought it over with me and I forgot. So this is just parsley flakes. Of course, fresh parsley, much nicer. But we're just going to add a fair amount. Maybe that'll help combat the garlic breath, because parsley is supposed to clean your breath of odors. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm already looking at this and I'm already thinking, you know, it's still a little thick. So I'm going to add a bit more milk, because like I said, that Parmesan cheese that was dried is going to suck up a lot of the moisture. And then you're going to get like a paste rather than a sauce. We want our sauce is nice and creamy and savory for our Parmesan chicken. Or not Parmesan chicken, pardon me, for our Alfredo chicken. So this just has to sit here on the burner. I'm going to turn it right down. And I'm gonna let it sit. I'll stir it every couple of minutes, and once our chicken's done, we're gonna start our fettuccine, which Justin, who's our pasta expert in the house, he's gonna make our pasta for us.
So I'm gonna be putting salt, a little bit of salt, and oil into this pot here so we can cook the fettuccine. So after we're done that, I put it on to maximum.
Justin, did you add salt to your water?
Yeah.
How much should you add? Like a couple of shakes?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. You don't want to have too much salt. So we're just going to let this come to a rolling boil. Our sauce is complete. Our chicken is almost all done. And just so you know, I ended up using the entire 1 liter for cream, because it was just, I was still thickening even after I'd stirred it. But look at all that drippy, gooey cheese on there. Isn't that delicious? Can't wait to try this. So keep stirring it. I did add the milk, so it took the temperature down. So we want this nice and hot. And we're just going to keep that cooking on a low temperature. We don't want to scorch our milk.
So I'm going to be turning this down to 4. Oops, actually turn it off. So I turn it down to 4. They add the fettuccine here. stir it.
Just give it a light stir just to kind of get it coated in the oil so it doesn't stick. We're going to leave the lid off now as well so we can watch. Now, generally pasta is when it's at a hard boil. We time it for about 7 minutes. Depends on how firm you want your pasta to be. With fettuccine, I like mine a little bit mushier. Sorry, I don't like it like gross, but I don't like it so al dente because it is a bit of a thicker noodle, so it might take us more than 7 minutes.
Mom, I have a joke for you.
Okay, what?
What do you call a person who goes to the bathroom in France?
I have no idea.
European.
That was a good one, Justin. So as you can see, our pasta's at a nice boil. It says we got about 30 seconds left, but our pot actually kind of quit boiling. So we're gonna actually test it, and I'm gonna show you how to test pasta to see if it's done. So, again, I don't like it too awful al dente. That's what it means when it's kind of hard in the middle. So you just take one piece of pasta and you just bite it. That's still a little too al dente for me. So we're gonna leave it maybe another 30 seconds at this hard boil, and then we'll take it off. And then we're going to just give it a quick stir in a hot pan with some butter, just because then it keeps it from mushifying. I know, I make up words. But who likes mushy pasta? Nobody likes mushy pasta. Sorry, my husband loves mushy pasta. Other than my husband, nobody likes mushy pasta. So, I think I've talked for 30 seconds. I think this sucker's done. So Justin's gonna drain it with our colander. In the sink, I'm gonna get the pan on. I seasoned the pan in the oven because I was running short on burners. So I'm gonna pop that on over here. And Bob's your uncle, we're almost ready to eat. So we're just gonna take a little quick shot of me just kind of tossing it in the frying pan with the butter. And then we'll cut to our pasta's already starting to stick a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this into our hot oil, hot butter, because butter tastes good. And we're just gonna give it a little bit of stir, because we don't wanna overcook it. Get that in there. Actually, a good alternative to this would be to use garlic butter. That would taste really good too. This just helps evaporate all the rest of the water, keeps it from starting to stick. And this is just gonna be like a minute or two, not even a minute or two, just a few seconds in our butter. Roll that around. And yes, this looks like a lot of pasta, but it really, not really. So we'll be back when we're ready to taste. Okay, so here's our pasta. I'm actually gonna make up my plate and give everybody a taste of it, because we're gonna be sitting down to eat very late. Oh, sorry, Jamie, knocked you on the head. So, and then I'm gonna take a smaller piece of chicken and pop that on top of there. And then we're gonna pour some of our delicious Alfredo sauce. Give it a nice little dollop. Let's do 2, because it's so good. Dylan, you wanna grab me a knife, please, to cut up our chicken? Or Justin, maybe? Sure. Since you're kind of in front of the drawer. Just a butter knife. Our chicken's gonna be super tender, so. Okay, so this is kind of the finished look. If our cameraman wants to get a great shot of this. This is our Alfredo chicken. And believe me, we tasted our sauce when we cut away for a couple times, and oh my goodness, is it ever delicious. So we're just gonna cut up our chicken, cut up a few bites, and as you can see, nicely cooked, and it's not dry. So that's the importance of cooking it to the right temperature. And the Gordon Ramsays of the world, I know that they don't need to use a thermometer, but I don't want to take any chances. So when you guys get a taste, I want you to grab a little piece of chicken and a little bit of pasta and taste it, but don't eat too much because this is my supper. All right?
Open off that bowl.
Oh, I'm gonna eat all this. Okay, so grab yourself a fork, grab a little piece of chicken, and grab a little bit of pasta, and give it a taste. See what you guys think. Go ahead, Joe. A little bit of pasta with the chicken. Okay, now you can't put that back in there because, yeah, no double dip in here.
I didn't get some spaghetti.
Make sure you get some pasta too. So this is how you do it. You take a little bit of pasta, kind of swirl it, and then you stab your chicken. There you go. Now you got all the goodness. Okay, taste. Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Huh?
What about almonds?
What about what?
Ours.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't served you fast enough, King Jamie. So, sorry, I'm drooling because this looks so good. I can't wait to eat it myself. And it's good, guys?
Yes.
How's the sauce? Good?
Amazing. Eat it.
Okay,
eat
good.
it. Eat it.
Okay, I'm not going to eat it till I sit down because I want to actually sit down. So, that's another Aspiring Teen Chefs for you for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave any comments that you might have. And are we all ready, guys?
Yep.
Bye.